Hi everyone, and welcome to the Weekly Woo. If you're watching this on YouTube, thank you for subscribing and pressing the notification bell so you can be alerted when any new video is released. If you're watching this on Instagram, thank you so much for the follow. There are a lot of new followers on here, so to just be brief, the Good Woo is where I share some of my gifts, things I've studied over the years, sharing my toolbox of how I've coped with surviving some pretty intense situations and how I thrive today. So welcome, let's get right into this week. First of all, right now, we're in a Mercury retrograde and we just had a very powerful new moon. This new moon was in the sign of Aquarius with many other planets conjunct it. So we have an incredible amount of Aquarius energy in the ether right now. So let's talk a little bit about what does Aquarius represent. Primarily, Aquarius is the sign of humanity in the zodiac. It is friendship, groups. It is ruled by the planet Uranus and the planet Saturn. So it has this dual energy of the maturity that Saturn requires us to have, that aspect of adulting and discipline, with the energy of Uranus, which is outside the box thinking, outside the box action, and higher consciousness downloads. So it's a very different energy from what we had in 2020, which was predominantly Earth, the sign of Capricorn. So we're really making a transition right now, and I don't know about you guys, but the transition has been difficult for me because it's so different, this energy that we had of dense Earth, which could, such discipline was required last year, so many restrictions, into this new Aquarian energy, which is much higher in its vibration and its air. So more thoughts, more ideas, and more communication. So the first thing I want to address here, because we got dog spirit as our animal totem this week, and it was in reverse. Now, dog represents loyalty, loyalty in friendship, loyalty in family. But when it's reversed, it's saying there are some loyalties that have turned into unhealthy attachments in your life. Now, this can be people and friendships, right? Because Aquarius rules friendships. So our friendships are up for review in this Mercury retrograde because Mercury is in the sign of Aquarius as well. Our friendships, our connections, the social media groups, that which we follow, our Facebook groups, all of this is up for review. And the question this week is, what is truly in alignment with your core, with your purpose, with the path that is going to be right for you? So it's a week where you're going to be seeing, okay, maybe this doesn't align anymore. Maybe this friendship needs to change. Maybe this alliance needs to dissolve. And also you could be meeting new people, new groups, new people on social media, new people in the world that actually shift your priorities as far as your relationships are concerned. Now, to write it right side up, right? To turn the message into its most positive form, I would say first and foremost, as today is Valentine's Day, it always comes back to loyalty to the self, loyalty to your highest self, to align your will, your human will, with that of the higher part of you, and to focus on self-love first. I know Valentine's Day can be hard for a lot of people, but what a beautiful holiday that we've created as humans to really focus on love in all its forms, right? Love doesn't have to be just romance, right? There are so many aspects to the energy of love that we can give and that we can receive. And dog is really showing us this week, maybe we need to change some of our alliances, some of our friendships. Maybe there is things we are attached to out of habit, even bad habits or addictions that are being called into review, right? Because that's what Mercury retrograde is all about, review. Now, our nature oracle cards, and usually I say plant ally, but I'm using a deck right now that actually expands into all of nature. It's not just about plants. But I do want to talk about the plant we did pull, which was elm. 3 cards came out when I was asking what those who watch this video need to hear this week. This tree is such a powerful plant ally, and that it helps us awaken our intuition. And when it's reversed, it's saying we're missing some signs. Now this goes back to this Mercury retrograde and this dog spirit, that perhaps there are some relationships in our life that need to change, but we don't want to look at the signs we've already been given. So this is like a reminder to look at the red flags, especially with new people who have come into your life. Are you paying attention to the red flags, or are you just, going wildly into new relationships or new alliances because the energy is so potent, there's so much momentum behind it? This can also talk about, in a Mercury retrograde, we can make decisions that once Mercury goes direct again, we will change our mind on. So this is saying use your intuition. Do not be rushed to make new decisions or new alliances if it doesn't feel right for you. And this is reiterated because we got the card of spring, which represents new growth in reverse too. This is saying if it does not feel right, do not commit, do not sign the contract, do not make the agreement if it's not totally and completely feeling right for you right now during this retrograde. Once Mercury does go direct, there is going to be more clarity that comes in. And always with a Mercury retrograde, if you do have to sign a contract or make an agreement, check, and recheck the fine print, the details, right? To begin anything in a Mercury retrograde, it doesn't mean you can't, but it means if you do, be prepared that it's going to change and be okay with that change, having done your due diligence to make sure you've checked and double checked. Triple checked, really. With Mercury retrograde, things come in threes and the changes cycle in threes. Then what also came out was the Storm card, Resolve Conflicts. This goes back to dog spirit. With all of this energy in Aquarius, with Mercury in retrograde, and we do have the planet Mars squaring a lot of these planets, because Taurus, where Mars is right now in the sign of Taurus, is square in a conflictual relationship with the sign of Aquarius. So this could say that this week there are some conflicts that are going to come up. It is so important that you are careful of the words you use and the words you write, always in a Mercury retrograde, because what we're writing and speaking is going to come back around to be resolved, reviewed, corrected, changed. So you don't want to be haunted by what you write and what you say this week. Be very careful. And if you can, go non-speakers. You don't always have to respond to every provocation in your life. And especially like if it's deals, if you can delay those deals, those contracts, then do so. Our crystal this week is Chlorite Phantom Quartz. Now, I actually have one of these that I did not bring on my travels. Usually it's literally this shape, and then inside you can see another crystal being formed within it. This is a message to, I'm going to read it. Do you recognize the personification of nature, and that plants and animals may reveal human qualities such as the ability to converse? Do you communicate easily with them? Cultivate a deeper relationship with all non-human life. All life forms can provide us with wisdom. They have spirits and lessons to share. Everything is connected. Now, if any crystal would represent my intention with the good woo, it would be this crystal. Because it has been my experience that when we open up to allow the universe around us to communicate to us, our path is guided, our path is illuminated. This takes a lot of humility, because for centuries we've been pulled away from listening to nature, from listening to the natural world as more than just our environment, but in fact our guide and our teachers. So this week you have an opportunity to still the cacophony of the technology, of all the pressure to make these agreements or make these changes, whatever it is, and to go into nature, be with your animals. Since we have dog spirit, there's an element where, do you communicate with your pups? They have their own language, and are you proficient in that? I live next to horses right now, and it's incredible to just be silent and allow whatever is coming through to come through when it comes to being close to animals. Also, there's a ton of birds around as spring is approaching, and to sit and really listen to them and to feel like what would the message be for you? Oftentimes, if you can't grasp it, the way to access it is to say, well, what would it be if I could? What would the message be if I could understand what the birds are saying? Or what this, this, as we have elm, to sit with trees, under trees. In Japan they call it forest bathing. And there's actually a great documentary on, I think it's Amazon right now, where you can learn about that. But we can do that anywhere, to be in the forest and allow the trees, their energy, and literally what they release physically, how it alters our consciousness, to allow the natural world to change you, to help you, to guide you. So there were some extra cards I pulled because I've been gone for a while, and you guys have only gotten a monthly woo, and it's been weeks since the weekly woo have come out. So I decided to pull some extra cards. We got Sedna, the goddess of infinite supply. So this is a message that oftentimes when we have these retrogrades and when we're making big changes, there's that fear that, for instance, if you're in a relationship and you're sensing that it needs to change, that you need to break up or leave or whatever it is, the fear that, oh my God, but if I end this, I'm never gonna find love again. Or a friendship that's not working, but you say, but there's all this history, and what if I never have that connection again? Sedna says to us, in her archetypal energy, there is always enough. The universe is ever replenishing you if you allow it to, if you can have faith and trust, if you can trust your intuition. The next card I got was You're Profoundly Clairvoyant, which really relates to this elm card, that the signs are there. You've been given the signs to guide your path. The question is, are you listening to them or are you ignoring them? We are all clairvoyant. We can all see deeper into the reality than we want to admit. And this card is saying this week you're going to have an opportunity to do so. And oftentimes to access our intuition, we do need to go into nature. We do need to get quiet, away from modern life and technology. So this week we're going to be offered that opportunity. And the last card was God Box. I have a video on this actually, and I'll try to link that here to in the YouTube if you're watching on YouTube, so that you can easily access it. The God Box is such a beautiful tool for every spiritual toolbox, where that which is bothering you, that which is taking up mental space because you haven't resolved it or you're worried about how it's going to resolve. We know all religions and spiritual practices say to give things over, to surrender, but sometimes it takes a physical ritual, a physical act to really speak to the limbic system that, yes, we're giving this over. So the God Box technique is to very simply write the things that are plaguing your mind, heart, and soul. That which you know is not in your control. To write it down and then put it in a box that you're going to label the God Box. And I would say the more beautiful the box, the better. And then you put those pieces of paper, you put those worries, those fears, those anxieties, those resentments, those grudges into the box. And as you put it into the box, you're saying, Creator, Infinite Spirit, Highest Self, you take this. This is now your responsibility. I let it go. So that's really accessing our mental body, our emotional body, and our subconscious and our limbic system as well. That is why ritual is so important. So the God Box is an excellent tool. If you have a lot of things this week that you're like, oh, I just can't deal, or I don't know what direction to take, give it to Creator. If you call that God, let go, let God, and use the God box to help all the parts of yourself understand that that's what you're doing. So if you want some more depth into this week and what we're working with and how to max out the positive energies and how to remedy some of the harder, crunchier energies, please join me on Patreon, where I go more in depth with some more oracle cards and my own intuition, sharing it with you. Thank you so much for viewing, everyone, and I'll just leave you with this beautiful image of the dog spirit. And perhaps some of you are getting dogs. I wish you all a beautiful Valentine's Day. Remember again that the main message of the spirit of dog is that we are loyal to ourselves and to our true intentions. See you next week.